It is. I actually had canceled my ACA membership or ACA? Yeah, ACA
Yeah.
several years ago, like right after I broke out on my own. I was like, this is expensive. I was like, yes, they give you one CE per month, but I was like, this is not stuff that I need nor that I want. I kept getting emails talking about gender affirmation. I had already like declined that at the clinic I worked at where they wanted to get us trained to be able to write the letters. I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. I mean, when I was in school, the big thing again that I don't know how it is now, but like they would say, and they contradict themselves now, but they're like, you cannot just take the client's word for something. Like if somebody walks in and they're like, I have bipolar disorder, you're not supposed to just like write down like diagnosis is bipolar disorder. You have to ask them like, oh, like tell me about your symptoms, like what's going on. Because a lot of people like some people do know what they have. Again, if they've been diagnosed with it previously, that's pretty obvious. But a lot of them are like, I took an online survey and like that's how I know what it is. Or like, they might be saying that they're anxious, but they actually are describing somebody who's extremely depressed and has had a lot of like hardships in life. So a lot of it is like ask questions, ask lots of questions, figure out what's going on, make a determination for yourself based on their history, based on like, their current symptoms. And so like this was the only thing that they'd ever asked me that they're like, don't ask any questions, don't investigate. You have to just take their word for
Is
it. And
that
I think
just
that's what,
for the gender issue or for like generally?
no, just with gender, like only with gender. And that's why I always had such an issue with it. Like even when I was in grad school and I was still like trying to figure stuff out again, I would come home and bounce stuff off my husband, kind of like sounds like you too with your parents, or it's like they said this, like they said we're just supposed to take their word for it. But everything else we're supposed to ask more questions. Get like when did the symptoms start? How severe are they? Keep asking. Because again, there's also like it sounds terrible, but like when I worked within the city, there was a lot of people that just make stuff up like for fun because they were trying to drug seek, like any number of reasons. So they're like, you have to keep asking questions, actually do your whole intake, keep going. But with the gender affirmation, it's the only one that they were like, you take their word, you don't question it, that's rude, that's not validating. And I was like, this goes against everything I was taught as a therapist. Like, I don't understand it. And nobody's ever been able to give me a proper answer about it since. Like, I've never gotten a good, this is why we don't ask questions.
It feels like, I mean, there's certain things. This is going to sound like a bizarre example, but like I think this is like a fairly accurate representation. If someone came into you and says like, I'm a glass of orange juice. Okay, maybe this person's like schizophrenic, schizoaffective. Let's kind of unpack this a little bit with the person. But if the person says, my gender is a glass of orange juice, like all of a sudden we move that from this category over here of a mental health diagnosis that needs evidence behind it over to this category of like holy and sacred that cannot be questioned.
Yeah.